Okay then. Alright then, that wasn't too bad. This game had a ton of surprises. We finally saw the debut of Zakaria in midfield, and we saw another new formation used by Graham Potter, this time with it being a 4-3-3. And I have to say, you guys, I found this game very entertaining. I was liking the high volume of opportunities we were creating in this game, and I was liking the variety in which we were creating chances too. I think this is very promising in this game today, but of course, unfortunately, this game was marred by some very unfortunate moments, and they continue to be injuries. Of course, Ben Chilwell right in the final seconds of the game, pulling his hamstring, and now we're in a situation again where both him and Reece James are out again, just like last season. And it's such a shame that it's happened to two of our best fullbacks, in my opinion. I hope these guys somehow, by the grace of God, are able to find a place in the World Cup. But it's not looking good, bruv, at this point in time. But regardless though, you guys, it does seem like we are doing some interesting things with our new system. And I kind of feel like there's some promise now for the next game versus Arsenal. So in today's match, if you want to focus on 4 points, I want to talk about the new 4-3-3 formation we use under Graham Potter. I want to discuss Zakaria's debut, of course, as well. Let's dissect this game. I want to discuss things like our finishing as well as other important aspects in this game. So I hope you guys definitely enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys enjoy the goals we saw today. Raheem Sterling finally getting on the score sheet, as well as Zakaria, of course, scoring his goal too. So let's start with things and let's break down the 4-3-3 formation that Porto used tonight. So let's start things off and let's discuss the debut boy in Zakaria, who finally plays for us all the way at the start of November. Now for me, I thought this was a very impressive debut. I'll be honest with you, I was kind of getting like some ideas thinking, okay, is this like the new Saul 2.0 here? Because why is this guy not even coming off the bench when, you know, we could be rotating midfield players a lot more? So I'd like to hope now that he gets more opportunities. I think he gave a very good account of himself in the game today. And I think what was very impressive about his game was how he was getting around the field and how he was breaking up that play and offering that defensive support alongside Jorginho. What was interesting was that Jorginho was actually able to, get forward a lot more, where he could influence the play a lot closer to the goal. We saw Jorginho play some great through balls in behind, splitting Zagreb's defense, and I was kind of getting flashbacks to like Napoli Jorginho. So a bit more of that Jorginho, and I'll be a very happy guy. But going back to Zakaria, of course, I felt like he was smart today. He kept things quite simple. He did his job, and as he knew, he had to make a statement and he had to give some faith and confidence to the manager. So I definitely think that Potter would have seen a lot from his performance today. Massive shame that he gets a niggling injury that keeps him out. Let's hope that it's not going to be too severe so he can come back soon and, give more of an account of himself behind how he can play. But wow, what a start to, of course, score a goal in your debut. He did something similar, of course, if I remember, for Juventus as well too. I remember when they signed Vlahovic, I think they both got goals on their debut too. So he's keeping up that record. I just like the goal he scored. Zakaria, he's one of those midfield players where predominantly he is a DM, but he is comfortable breaking the lines and getting forwards. And I just felt like with him kind of like staying on the edge of the box, waiting for any cutback opportunities, he just knew that he had to bury that chance that he had. He got behind it very well, some great power and weight behind that shot, and it was just able to evade past those Zagreb defenders. So, in terms of needing that kind of Kante type of figure in the team, Zakaria showed that he is someone you can turn to, and I do think maybe using a three-man midfield where there's less responsibility compared to playing in a pivot probably is a much better way to use him. But I think, well, okay, I've got my eyes on this guy now. Let's hope he gets some opportunities and let's see what else he can do, because today I thought he gave us a very good defensive presence in the midfield and, well, a lot of eyes were on him and I think he definitely passed the test today. So how did you guys find Zakaria's debut? Let us know below. So right now, I want to talk about the 4-3-3 system that Potter used today. Now, my initial thoughts for this game was that whatever type of lineup or formation we saw today, there'd probably be a great opportunity to see this type of system used versus Arsenal. I think that, of course, in a game which essentially meant nothing whatsoever, you've got like a free game to be able to test things out for a massive game for this weekend. So I don't want to spend too much time discussing how we played today using the system, otherwise it'd be here too long. But I want to talk about some of the interesting aspects we saw today. Now, one of the things I really liked about the 4-3-3 was some of the verticality we were producing in the game today. Most notably from guys like Raheem Sterling and Aubameyang, who actually played wide, with Kai Havertz playing the middle. Now let's discuss Kai Havertz, because I thought Havertz has, kind of continued this recent renaissance of, being, very influential in terms of what he's doing on the ball. And I think with Kai in particular, what I really liked about his game today was that he was used in a manner which for me is how you get the best out of the guy now. He wasn't touched aside alongside the defender. He reverted back, of course. He was reverting away from the play, getting ready to time his accelerations inside the box here or there. And of course, being another link-up option in midfield for guys to play balls to. And I just kind of think that when Havertz is withdrawn from the play a bit, that's when you really see what he can do. So what was really great was that you had guys like Raheem Sterling, Aubameyang. So when Zagreb's wingbacks dropped deep, of course, to form their back five, they were making runs behind through these spaces right here. Let me make it a bit more clearer for you guys. So these types of spaces right here, they were constantly, dragging the Zagreb defenders with them. And when you had Kai Havertz as well, just, reverting in these spaces right here, it made things very difficult for the Zagreb defenders, because it's like, okay, if we look to then try and step out to try and engage with Kai Havertz, you can have Aubameyang or Sterling run into these spaces. And when you have Mason Mount and Zakaria, he's just reverting outside the box here. Mount is looking to break the lines as well too, but pushing the fullbacks up as well to occupy the spaces even more. What I really liked was that it created a lot of passing triangles. There was always constant wide rotations, left, right, and center. And it created a lot of opportunities for us. And it's a shame that we didn't really show that efficiency in front of goal. But I feel like for me, with this system, it gives a great foundation of what we can become. I do feel like these guys need to build more attacking understanding. I think we can get more efficient in terms of what we do in the final third and the relationships and understandings that players can kind of blossom on the field as well too. And I do think that, with more time, if we maintain something like this, then it will definitely, bear a lot of fruits in the future. For me, I thought Kai Havertz in particular, how he's used, this is how you use the guy. Don't have him in the box where he's got two defenders on him, where he has to only compete for aerial balls all the time. That's not how you use the guy. He did his best stuff at Leverkusen when he was in these spaces, just outside the defenders, because the guy has great timing. The guy has great acceleration, great power, and great intelligence too. And it's no surprise why he was constantly that connective presence that was linking the play up and allowing for your Aubameyangs and Sterlings, of course, make their late man runs inside the box, because I guess that type of disruption, it's very hard for a defense to be able to really, defend compactly when you have so much late man, third man runs being made out wide and in the central areas as well too. So let's hope we can see more of this. And if this is the game plan to go toe-to-toe against Arsenal, I'm definitely going to be very optimistic, and I kind of feel like we could potentially do something. So, and before I end things very quickly as well too, just talk about how we were off the ball when we played. I found it very interesting as well too, with Kai Havertz kind of playing more of a false nine-ish role, from keeping things real with you. Off the ball, we kind of reverted back to becoming more of a 4-1-2-1-2. So, we still gave some spaces away in these areas right here. Let me show you. And I think this is why we need more understanding and development of this system, so we can be better protected, because against better teams, they will play through our midfield and they will get us on the counter attack. So it's about keeping ourselves compact and players understanding when to make the runs and when not to. So I'll probably do a more detailed, in-depth video explaining things a lot better, you guys. Of course, I'm doing things on the dome because I need to get this review out quickly. But now let's move on to the third thing we learned. And I guess we have to discuss the injuries. Ben Chilwell picking up an injury right near the end, Zakaria getting a niggle, and even Azpilicueta looking like he was kind of carrying something off the field too. It's quite frustrating that as we're getting closer to the World Cup, wow, I mean, this is the issue when you're literally starting a World Cup a week after the Premier League season comes to a halt. We're in a weird situation because a lot of our guys are trying to impress Potter to win their place in the team. And I feel like a lot of players are kind of not running on empty, but getting close to those dangerous levels where they could get injuries. I think Potter's done as best as he can to rotate the team. I think in terms of Ben Chilwell, the argument could be this is a nothing game, why did he play? But to be honest, he has been more the rotation option used this season compared to Cucurella. So it's literally just pure unluckiness. with what happened to Ben, and I hope that somehow he's able to find himself a spot in that England team. But you know, it's a story of our seasons, injuries at the wrong time, but at least now we have a wing back in Cucurella who now needs to really step up now during this period, and maybe for playing a more like easier system in a 4-3-3, hopefully we can see more from Cucurella. And to end things, we have to talk about the finishing, because we produced quite a lot of good chances in this game today. Raheem Sterling, for example, you know, making those runs on the outside, cutting inside as well too. He had his most productive season playing for Man City on the right hand side for like 2 seasons. You know, he can play that role to a T, and just seeing like actual wide players receiving the ball out wide, you know, having that license running behind from the wide areas too, and how we were able to constantly like stretch their back lines to exploit the spaces. We have the players that can play like this, and if our finishing was on point, I'm looking at opportunities like, for example, Aubameyang in the second half, where, you know, when Ben Chilwell, you know, when he was making those overlapping runs on the left-hand side, you know, he was running in behind their back line, and that was giving space for Aubameyang to receive in those areas, and that's why he could take a shot like that from that area, and he was very unlucky to hit the crossbar. You're looking at Mason Mount, some very good free kick attempts. Of course, he played the assist for the second goal, where he made that late man run through the spaces and played the cutback pass. We saw Kai Havertz play a lot of cutback passes inside the box too, with some very poor finishing. I'm looking at Conor Gallagher, who had an opportunity, Bro, who had an opportunity. There were opportunities in this game, and we had opportunities from set pieces as well too. I know that Trevor Chalobah was already dominant in those areas. Koulibaly had an opportunity at the near post where, you know, with more patience for these guys to understand each other, I feel like we can become a lot more clinical, and it was just nice to see a variety of opportunities made and produced for once, because you guys know I've been complaining about this. It felt like we've been too formulaic and systematic for way too long, and no surprise the attacking play got plateaued. So you guys, on that note, you know, of course it wasn't the most perfect game, but it was a very promising game of what the future can bring. And I'm really hoping that we see more of this formation and system used so it can be learned and built upon. So you guys, what's your thoughts on the game? How are you feeling? And are you ready for the game versus Arsenal now? So on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. Catch you guys later for some more videos. Cool.